This is Saturday Night Live with Deon and Shireen.
Right now, we're going to talk to a young lady that's going to leave our shores soon, and her name is Vanita. And I know there's been so much happening within the immigration industry at the moment. So, Vanita, good evening and welcome again to Sands Live Radio.
Good evening, Deon. Good evening, listeners. I hope everybody's well, and thank you for having me.
It's been a long, long time. I know so much has happened since we last spoke.
It has, Deon. The thing is, though, there's been so much happening, I think even in the last 2 years, that sometimes it's just hard to keep up with what's going on. But I suppose since the borders opened and the settings are sort of returning to normal, you probably are seeing a lot of South Africans now starting to come through to New Zealand with job offers and so on.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. There's so much. I know there's all the changes that you spoke about the last time with the companies having to be registered as what they call them now?
Accredited
employers.
Yeah.
All of that plus all kinds of stuff that was announced on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. So I know it's been...
on Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that. And I think some people would be very happy to hear that the parent category has reopened after 6 years. It's been a long time coming. And, if you know, Deon, a lot of people were wanting to sponsor their parents, even putting expressions of interest.
Yeah.
And it just sat in the pool. And, I think it was promised that it was supposed to open in May of 2020. But the remuneration on that was very high. It was people earning like 150,000 and above,
Yeah.
To sponsor to parents. But now that's actually being readjusted and reset for people to be able to sponsor their parents to come to New Zealand. That category is opening on the 14th of November. But there's a lot of parents actually sitting in the expression of interest pool from 6 years ago. And people that may have withdrawn their applications as well. Immigration are actually been kind enough to email them and say to them, look, would you want to put your expression of interest back into the pool? Because we're going to start drawing those. So the first lot of people, and we're doing this chronologically, they're expecting people to sort of, or sponsors to update the application and so on. Because let's face it, 6 years is a long time. Some parents may have passed. Also, their health could have been affected, adversely as they get older. And also, there's a requirement for an English language test. There are some provisions for South African nationals, but I don't know whether people are able to meet those provisions for the English language test. But if you can't, you'd have to do an English language test as well for that. So there's about 9,000 applications sitting in the pool currently, and they're going to choose them chronologically. So the first is going to be chosen, and they're going to choose 2,500 applications from there.
Okay, but do they have the people to do that though? To
I
get
don't
that through?
know. In terms of immigration operation, we don't know. We don't know, Deon. And the thing is, though, the next category we'll talk about as well, we don't know the time frame for processing or anything like that. It hasn't been announced. It hasn't been announced in terms of priority, how long it's going to take and so on. The 2021 residence is still carrying on. It was supposed to finish at the end of this year, in December. But it's now moved 6 months forward. So immigration are their new target deadline is, I think, the end of June 2023 to process all the 2021 residence applications, which is priority currently.
Yeah. And
then I reckon they'll tackle the other categories. But again, please, I'll make a disclaimer. I'm guessing on this one, but because there's been no announcement as yet.
Oh, okay. So what was announced on Wednesday that was so groundbreaking? And
so there was two things. So one was the parent category, and then the other one was the skilled migrant category opening up again. So I suppose a lot of people are going with the skilled migrant category points tested system is opening. Now, when the accredited employer work visas came about in July and so on, The only pathways for residents was the green list, tier 1s and tier 2s, and people earning 200% of median wage. And now this is the third category that's opened or reopened. So what the minister's done is he set a deadline, or I should say the first draw for the expression of interest for the skilled migrant category is on the 9th of November. Now, what they've said is those people that want to put an expression of interest in or already have one in, update it or either withdraw it and request a refund. And all those applications are going at the current setting, which is 160 points.
Okay.
So there is a big push for people that may have missed out on the 2021 residents to try and get drawn, because they will draw everything that's eligible in there.
Okay. So what is the 160 points made up of? I thought.
So the 160 points are made up of age, work experience, that's your past work experience, your qualifications, and then there's your qualification. Then there's bonus points, for instance, like if you've been working in New Zealand, if you're working outside the Auckland region, bonus points are for claiming for your partner's qualification, that's a degree level or above. And there's also bonus points for claiming your partner's work, a New Zealand job, New Zealand job offer or work as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the requirement is that you have to have a job offer or be working in a job in New Zealand to be eligible for the SNC residence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable.
The only thing is, though, for those like new people that are maybe coming in and they're on the accredited employer work visa, the 2021 residency visa closed on the 31st of July. So those people that have missed out there and they're not eligible for the green list occupation or the tier 2, and 200%. Sorry, not tier 2, or the 200% of median wage. They are the ones who probably going to be lodging under the skilled migrant category. And some of them may only just meet 160 points. So they are obviously needing to do English language tests on that.
Yeah.
And that is a big issue in the sense that if you do a paper-based application, it's about 3 weeks before you get the result. So if you count 3 weeks, you'll pass the 9th of November. So you possibly need to do a computer-based test.
So I understand why they'd want to do a speech test or ESOL test on people, but I know of other nationalities, shall we say, that speak not a single word of English. So how do they get through that?
So just remember there are 2 ways of, under the skilled migrant category, you have to do the test. You have no choice but to do the test, and these are anybody aged 16 and above that has to do the test. When you talk about other categories, like maybe the parent category, they have a choice. So if you know, for instance, that you have an older person that's not going to be able to sit test and study and do this, you're talking about a person in their 60s or 70s, okay? They would pre-purchase the ESOL tests or the ESOL package, and they would show that, and this is on the parent category, you can choose that as well if you don't want to do the English test. And you can't prove English for South African nationals as to what the requirement is. Because I think I just briefly read it's matriculation, and I think the minimum pass is a D on higher grade for English.
Okay.
That's in the parent category. So if you can't show that, then you would pre-purchase an ESOL package. And I think, I'm guessing, it's about $3,500 or a little bit or more than that.
Okay, but what does a package do, or what does a package give you?
So what it does is it gives, let's go back to the parent category. So that if you pre-purchase that, because it's not relevant for the skilled migrant category, but it's for the parent category. So what it does is it gives you classes to attend, and a parent has 5 years to be able to complete that and do the whole tuition package and get the certificate. So if you think about it, if you have a parent and they pre-purchased that ESOL tuition and package, and you put in your residence in for that parent, and you're saying you've pre-purchased that, their residence is processing, let's say, 18 months, okay?
Yeah.
The parents already got the residence granted. They really don't have to go and do the tuition and get the end result of the package that they bought. And most don't do that. And it's not that immigration's checking up on that either.
Oh,
They've just got to see evidence of that right at the beginning. So that's where your question comes in, and that's where it's always been that way, Deon.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because obviously I know, especially people that's basically grown up with Afrikaans as their first language are always going to struggle.
Oh, absolutely. And when it comes to, like if you look at the skilled migrant category, and just on the current setting, a lot of the trades do, they work with their hands, Deon. And a lot of them would struggle to even take the test. And then sometimes, some of them take the test 3-4 times, and this is just across the board, because they don't work in an office. They don't work with papers. They're not reading all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So while they speak really good English, sometimes it's very difficult for them to be able to pass and get the results that they need. But it is a mandatory requirement that needs to be produced at the time of the expression of interest and at the time the invitation to apply is issued as well. Those tests need to be valid.
Yeah.
So those people sitting currently in the expression of interest pool under the skilled migrant category, some of their tests may have expired because, say, for instance, they lodged an expression of interest in 2020. Okay, and it's only valid for 2 years and it could have expired. So they've got to redo that before the 9th of November, update their expression of interest, and then be selected from the pool.
But,
sorry.
I know lots of people over that time, obviously, their birth certificates or their police clearances and all that stuff would have expired, and it takes like a year to get that stuff again.
Yes, but just remember, so once you are chosen from the pool and given an invitation to apply, you've got 4 months to provide all your documents to immigration. So you've got 4 months to get your police certificates sorted. So hopefully that's something that can be done. And I know we can expedite if you're offshore, but when you're in South Africa, it's very hard to expedite that.
Yeah. I mean, so what would be your best suggestion? I mean, that we spoke about the gentleman that wants to move over here. Another one, the email I sent you. So he wants to come over here, but obviously his fear is that he's not going to find a job, and so he's giving himself like 2 weeks type of thing.
Right.
I know. There's lots of jobs available. That doesn't mean because lots of jobs available, you're actually going to get a job. It just means there's lots of jobs available. So, what would you suggest that they stay in South Africa and do their interviews from there, or actually be in the country?
It's very difficult, Deon, because sometimes people are successful securing jobs through online interviews. Okay, a lot of them are, and then there's some professions where the employer wants to see you in front of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, you're always going to hit that, and it depends what profession you're in and so on. So the thing is, I suppose what you've got to do is, Seek is our main platform, seek.co.nz, and then obviously with your trading jobs as well. And then also there's the company websites as well. Like if you're in a certain industry, you need to Google search those companies in that industry, and they often have career pages on their website, and that's where you would apply through. Okay. Now, the thing is, say for instance, if you applied through a web page from a company, company advertised on their own website, okay, but if that job's not on Seek, okay. What the company would need to do, to be able to employ that person is, one, they need to be accredited. Okay, if they're accredited, that's fine. If that job was not advertised on a national medium, but they've for instance, like person A, then they need to advertise on Seek or a national medium, I should say, Seek or Trade Me Jobs, whichever that national medium is. All right.
Okay.
And then when they advertise that, and they obviously don't find anybody because they know they've tested the markets previously anyway. We know what the markets are like, labor market, I should say. Once that advert closes after 14 days, they can apply for the job token. They get the job token from immigration. They give it to the candidate A. That candidate A applies for their work visa. So that's how the process works for a temporary work visa.
So what you're saying is that all jobs that's sitting on company websites and they don't have the people in the country, they basically have to put those on Seek or Trade Me or wherever.
Yes. And they have to use a national medium to do that. So what's happening now, and like I've worked with some companies where we've actually applied, so say for instance, like IT companies and so on, and there is a shortage of these skills, right? So what we've done is we've applied for 10 job tokens in bulk, okay, for your 200% of median wage. We've done that. And then we've also applied for 10 job tokens of those earnings below the median, not below the median wage. Sorry, when I said 200% of median wage, and the median wage is $27.76 right now per hour.
Okay.
So, and we've done one where, so all jobs that are earning below 200% of median wage have to be advertised on Seek to be able to get the job token.
Okay, irrespective.
Right? Regardless. So what I'm saying is, companies are now being wise and saying, okay, let's get 10 job tokens for those that need to be advertised on Seek. So now those adverts are starting to disappear. That's what I'm trying to say. So you need to sort of know which industry you're in. You need to search and research the companies that are in that industry and possibly do it the old-fashioned way of either connecting to them through LinkedIn or directly to their website if they're advertising under their careers page or something.
Yeah. Would you know or can you search for which companies are accredited or which companies have tokens or anything like that?
No. So that list of accredited companies has disappeared because all companies that are employing people from offshore, they have to hold accreditation.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know that if they're actually interested in you, they're already accredited. If they're not, then they will do that whole process anyway. Okay.
Because I know the person I'm speaking about now. Obviously, he's had a few interviews, and sent a few emails and whatever, and he's basically been declined all of those. So I'm not sure what the story is there.
Okay. So with people, just for people, listeners that are keen on actually immigrating but don't know where to start, the thing is, now that the SMC is open, so all our pathways for residents are open, okay? I would suggest that they sit down with a knowledgeable advisor, all right?
Like yourself?
Not all. I hope I'm knowledgeable, Deon. I hope I am. The thing is, though, when I say knowledgeable, not all advisors are equal, all right? So you want to know that the advice they are giving you is correct at the time. The policies are, because we've had so many changes. Deon, we have at one stage we were having about two to three changes, even 4 changes a week with policies, So you've got to be on top of everything, all right? So you need to sit with a knowledgeable advisor. Doing the eligibility assessment, okay? Now that the pathways are open, we know what's coming. And I'll talk about next year, what's happening, changes on that, okay? So sit with an advisor, map out your pathway to residence and see, am I going to be able to stay in New Zealand long term? Because the thing is, when you get a job offer, Deon, you want to be able to apply for residence as soon as possible now. And you can do that with a job offer. You can still be in South Africa, and you can do that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So what you want to do is do that, okay? Because right now the points tested system or the old system is still in place. So a lot of the mid-skilled people that don't have degrees are going to benefit from this, Those that don't have any qualifications are probably going to struggle a little bit, because I'll talk about what's coming next year. Okay, so that's what the person needs to do: sit down and know exactly what their pathway is. Because the thing is, if you're scrambling for points, okay, if you're scrambling for 160 points, you're never going to meet 180 points.
Yeah, definitely. So is it going to go up to 180 next year?
Yeah, and I'll talk about that. So next year, the second expression of interest draw is going to be in January. And what's going to happen is that's where the points are going to jump up to 180. Right? Okay, so that's why people that probably don't have qualifications are the ones that are wanting to go into the 160 right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 180 points until about middle of next year. And that's when the new 5-point system comes in. This is a proposed point system that's coming in. And this new skilled migrant point system is extremely harsh. When I say it's harsh, it is actually not recognizing any qualifications that are below degree level. So if you've got a trade, a lot of South Africans, they have trades at level of NZQA level 4, 5, 6, which are recognized currently.
Yeah.
It won't be recognized. Okay.
How's that going to help the country? I'm sorry, that makes no sense to me.
You know what, Deon? I am not a politician, and you know what? We work in the industry. We know what employers are facing and so on. Obviously, this is government driven, and there's a very distinct gap between reality versus idealistic. You know, so look, next year when the 6-point system comes in, or the proposed 6-point system comes into place, it's designed to slow down immigration. The whole thing is, they're not expecting a lot of people to apply for under SMC, even under the 160, the 180, and then the new 6-pointer, because with the new 6-pointer, it's actually making sure people are working in the country either for 1, 2, or 3 years before they apply for residence. So I'll give you an example. So what they've done is they've taken, for instance, like a New Zealand professional registration person.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that could be, look, electricians are on the green list. Okay. So they just wait 2 years to get residence, and it's not point tested. Okay. But then you have, so for instance, you'd have a licensed builder. Okay.
Yeah.
He's registered with the Licensed Building Practitioners Board. All right. So he comes in as a New Zealand professional under the New Zealand professional registration. Okay.
Okay.
Now, immigration has said that the minimum training and work experience required under this category for the builder is 23 years. If you have 18 years, you won't be able to obviously apply for residence because you're going to need 23 years. How you would prove that, I don't know, because all the details are not out. Okay, so you need somebody in their 40s.
So all they're doing is preparing people for the potholes that's ahead.
Yes.
or basically not for the potholes, but for the deep gorges and stuff they've created. And made it all look nice. We this fantastic people, really.
Yeah, look, these policies are not designed to bring in a lot of migrants, okay? These policies are designed to bring in only the people that they want to bring in. Look, the minister made a comment that, look, they've got apprenticeship programs and so on, okay? And I think that they're expecting the Kiwis to fill those anyway, you know? So maybe by that time, we wouldn't need that many trades. I think that's the thinking behind it. But we don't need that many trades because we'll have our Kiwis in those roles.
Yes, but we know that doesn't work because, I mean, if someone comes out of apprenticeship school this year, he needs at least another 5 to 6 years of experience to be able to work by himself. And
that's right.
So
exactly.
how are they going to fill the gap in between?
So okay. Let me finish this, and I'll answer your question afterwards. Okay, about filling those gaps and what the intention is on that one. Okay.
Okay.
So you have a builder who's got 23 years of work experience and he's registered. Okay, he gets 3 points. Right. If he's got 26 years of work experience, he will get 6 points. Okay. If he gets 6 points, he's able to apply for residence straight away, because the maximum points under this proposed system coming next year, middle of next year, is 6 points. All right.
Yeah.
But if he gets 3 points, he's got to work in New Zealand in a skilled role for 3 years to make up the 6 points. So 1 year, one point, 2 years, 2 points, 3 years, 3 points. So that means that the builder will come in this year, and in 2025, maybe towards the end of 2025, is when he's going to be applying for residence. All right?
Okay.
I don't know how long that's going to take to process. Then just remember, from the date you apply for residence, you have 5 years from that date to apply for citizenship. So you're almost buying 8 years out of that person.
Okay.
So that's okay. So then I'll come to the next person, who is a person who's got a qualification. Now, the minimum qualification is a level 7 degree. That will give you 3 points. A PhD.
What's a level 7? What's a level 7 degree, though?
Like just a bachelor's degree.
So a BA, basically.
That's an example, right? A commerce, a bachelor's degree, a bachelor of science, depending,
Okay.
So that will give you 3 points, all right? And honors or postgrad diploma at level 8 will give you 4 points, and so on. So a master's will give you 5 points, and a PhD will give you 6 points. Okay?
Okay.
So that person on the degree level, again, only gets 3 points. So they will have to work 3 years. Now, if you look at the teacher, right? The typical teacher comes in on a degree, all right? That teacher would have to, but mind you, that teacher could fall on the professional side as well. So depending where they fall under, okay? The New Zealand professional registration or the degree, one or the other, okay? That person will have to work 3 years in New Zealand and then 3 years for their degree. Well, they've got that to be able to apply for residence. But a PhD student that comes in, or comes in, like a master's student that comes in, does 1 year of study for a PhD, all right?
Yeah.
They can actually or a PhD scientist can apply for residence straight away because they get 6 points.
Okay. This is...
Right. Then you have the third column, okay, which is the high income. Now, the high income, if you earn 3 times the median wage, and I think that would be about 180 or 160,000 right now, based on 27.76 per hour right now. If you earn 3 times the median wage, you get 6 points, and you can apply for residency immediately. Anyone earning twice the median wage, which is 200% of the median wage, they can go under the 2-year residence to work, no points or anything like that. They wait 2 years. So they've got that pathway. And those people earning 1.5 of the median wage get 3 points. So they've got to work 3 years in the country.
Yeah.
So an example that immigration said was a chef earning 1.5 of median wage. And that will be, so median wage is increasing, by the way, to $29.66 per hour in February.
Jeez. So that's going to nail a lot of people.
It will. And if you're earning 1.5 of median wage, then that's going to be about $93,000 a year. And I don't know whether a chef would earn $93,000 a year. But the example is here that if a chef is earning $93,000 a year, he works for 3 years in New Zealand and he can apply for residence.
But
so
why would people want to come here? It would be easier going other places.
Yeah, that's right. because other countries have a lot of various options for work visas that lead to residence. We have the residence from work, but it's again a very select few. And we have the skilled migrant category. And this, once the old settings go away in the middle of next year, this is going to become very selective.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Really does sound like it.
Yes. So the minister is like, there is no cap on this, and yes, there's no cap because it's very limited. Now, coming back to your question about how are they going to fill the gaps that we have, all right?
Yeah.
So they are proposing that those people that will not meet the criteria that we just spoke about will have a limit on their temporary visas in a stand-down period. So in other words, if they know, like say on this new system that's coming through next year, middle of next year, 6 points, right? And you've got a metal fabricator coming in.
Yeah.
Right, or steel worker coming in.
Yeah.
They've got, like some South Africa, they've got the the QCCO or the Red Seal qualification and so on. And so, for instance, assessed by NZQA, and it's a level 6, qualification, diploma, qualification.
Yeah.
They won't be able to get residence under these because it's a level 6, and they're not going to be able to do that. Plus, the profession doesn't have a registered body. Okay, and if they're lucky, they may be earning 1.5 of median wage.
Yeah.
But if they're not, then they are actually have no pathway to residence. So what immigration are saying is for people like that, and they're proposing this, it's not set as yet, they're proposing that for people like this, they will have, for instance, a 3-year work visa and a 12-month stand-down period. So they'll fill the gaps for 3 years while our key apprentices are training and so on alongside these people, and then these people will leave. Now, the reason why we have those stand-downs is they don't want people to become well settled in New Zealand.
So basically what they're saying is they're going to use the people, get their knowledge, get the experience, and then say, thank you very much, go away now.
Yes.
How wrong? I mean, how wrong is that?
It is absolutely wrong, no doubt about it. I mean, look, we have an agreement, like for instance, with seasonal workers and so on in the Pacific Islands, right? Because they're poorer countries. Like New Zealand has an agreement where they bring in fruit pickers and so on, and dairy workers or whatever that may be for the seasonal work. As seasonal workers, they make their money for their family and their living during whichever period of time, and they leave. They have no pathway. They've never had a pathway to residence, but they're okay with that because that's the understanding that the countries have. However, with this, we unfortunately are saying this to those that are not going to be eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People need to, as you say, work with reputable people so that they're not landing here and then thinking that they're going to be here for all the rest of their lives, and they're only going to be here for 3 years, basically.
And Deon, right now, there's a lot of people that are coming, and they may or may not be eligible for residence either under the 160 or 180 points, or even under this new proposed system that's coming through, the 6 points. So the thing is, though, those people, they're selling up their lives to come,
exactly.
and they're giving up everything. And, that's why I'm saying that if you are listening and you sort of go, I want to immigrate, it sounds so great to go to any country for that matter, right? You need to sit down and know what the pathways are. If you don't know that, you are going to be under so much stress. It's not worth it, Deon. I mean, can you imagine if you had come in under this?
Yes.
With a family.
Yeah. No, I totally agree and understand. So, I mean, I understand why people, I understand why people want to leave South Africa, but they're coming to a worse situation than what they're in at the moment.
Yeah, and I would really feel for those people that will have no pathway. and they're coming in and they're only going to realize probably that, hey, I'm only here for 3 years. And, like they've sold things, they've shipped things, what do you do? What do you go back to?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
And because, if you go back, you actually you won't even have a job.
Exactly.
So what you're getting back to nothing. So basically, you've got a government that has no thought for any for immigrants. They have no thought of it at all.
And look, hopefully next year with our elections, I don't know whether national. I
don't think national will change anything. I'm sorry. I know.
Look. To be honest, and this is my opinion. Okay, whichever government that may replace the current government may make the necessary changes for the occupations that where our health system's crumbling. Where our education system's crumbling. They'll make those changes for that. And they'll give probably immediate residence to those professions in those sectors where we are in absolute need.
Yeah.
But, they again may not make drastic changes as people would hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just be aware that, this is what I'm currently, this is what it is. And the thing is, if you can't lodge residence now or in like a few months, because you've got to get your paperwork ready and you don't have the points, you're in trouble. And also, Deon, a very important thing to mention is, with the 180 points that are coming in next year, there has been a lot of talk about the government not giving open work visas to partners of the main applicants if they are earning less than 200% of median wage. Okay?
200%?
So if you're not earning 116,000, and it will change in February next year to 123,000 per year.
Yeah.
If you're not earning that, your partner's not going to get open work rights. Now, when you claim points, if you remember, I said bonus points are for partners' work as well in New Zealand. You won't be able to do that. So if you're scrambling for 180 points and you're relying on your partner, and if the government makes that decision in December, which they indicated, that partners are not going to get this open work right, you're in trouble already.
Gee. Vanita?
So, yes.
I think we need to have another session with this because there's so much to there is so much to unpack here.
Yes. There is a lot to unpack, and I'm happy to do that. Sorry, because we've gone on like nearly 40 minutes, so I apologize.
That's okay. It's just, I'm kind of gobsmacked at what I'm hearing. It's just, I don't believe that they've actually done this and then gone TV and make as if they God's gift to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when the minister was delivering his speech on Wednesday, I really felt like vomiting, to be honest, because it was very sickening to hear that this is what they're doing. There was a lot of backpacking going, we've done this and we've done that. But when you look at all the finer details, it's just so harsh for a lot of people. But,
I think we better make this a part 1 and we'll have to have a part 2. Seriously, because there is so much.
Thank you for having me, Deon.
No worries. Are you available next week?
Not next week, but we can look at the following week.
Okay. Let's make it the following week. So I will put this. Definitely, what I'll do is I'll cut this bit out of our program and then put it up on YouTube. People and put links to it so people can actually listen to this whole to your speed, to your conversation again, so they can get an understanding. But okay, let's make this a part 2. So you're saying the week of the 20. So basically the 29th.
Yes.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Fans Live Radio with a distinctive South African flavor.
This is Saturday Night Live with Deon and Shireen.
Right now.